And first thing on the agenda, of course, is going to be the minutes, guys. You had a chance to look at them? Is there any corrections or any adjustments that need to be made?
I didn't see anything. I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. We'll go ahead and approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Oh my gosh, can we have a meeting without a lawyer?
Well, we
It's okay, I'll handle it.
we did start without it.
If I have trouble,
You know
I'll ask
what?
Brad
He
to
probably
help.
didn't even care.
Highway engineer, lawyer.
There you go.
Huh?
Woo, man. That's a big hat.
Okay, Tony, we are up to you.
Okay, first of all, Rex, if you remember, last week Ethan was on vacation, and this recording had been set up to record, which we turned it on, it started, and then there were a couple times and we looked over and like, wait a minute, this thing turned off, okay? Ethan said there is no recording from last week,
Oh, there's none?
what he said. He
So
called
we-
them to figure out what the problem was, and I'm just saying this so that if anybody asks, hey, where's commissioner meeting from last week? This thing
Okay.
didn't work right, it didn't record it for some reason, because we looked at it a couple times and this was red and all the mics were off, and like, what in the world's going on? We didn't even touch anything.
Is there a timer on it?
Mm-hmm.
And was that the most important meeting of the year, too?
Yeah, that was when you guys were heaping bunches of praises on me and the treasurer and
Now
Brad, and
we're getting into deep waters.
now nobody's ever gonna know.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Because we
all
all
right.
did such a great job that day.
I must have stepped out for that.
You did.
You
were
did,
out.
that's when you were
out. Yeah.
Yeah. It was Rex and Steve heaping the praise.
Okay.
Okay, first we have utilities. Paid and allow on 5/18 for a total of $32,924.27. 32,924.27. I'll pass it around so you can look at it, and Steve can just keep everything at the end for me as he normally does. Unless I forget and then he brings it to me.
That's pretty consistent with the previous ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, need a motion.
Second to approve.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. We go ahead and approve the utilities for $32,924.27.
Next, we have payroll claims for 5/14, and the amount is $311,598.44. $311,598.44.
I should come over there. I keep chasing you. Or making you chase.
Any questions on it? I'll take a motion and. So move. Okay. Motion's been made, seconded. We go ahead and pay payroll claims of $311,598.44.
Okay. Next up, I've got the weekly allied insurance claims. And the medical part was $40,068.29. $40,068.29 for the medical. The pharmacy expense was $32,896.66. $32,896.66. for a total of $72,964.95. $72,964.95.
Which was first, the medical or?
Medical.
Medical.
Medical, gotcha.
And we're passing that down, so if you missed any numbers, you can.
Do you happen to have the balance in that health account by chance? Those two accounts?
Seems higher this time, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, you never know about medical claims, so that's kind of the. Hey, we're saved.
About that.
So moved.
Okay, motion's been made, second, and seconded, that we go ahead and approve the allied claims totaling $72,964.95.
Okay. And accounts payable claims, 526.21. The amount, $302,250.44. $302,250.44. And I'll pass that around.
Can I ask a quick question on that?
Yep, go ahead.
We've got Hattersley and Sons, 73,949.
What,
I wonder what that was.
what department is that out? What, do you have it marked on that?
I don't have the department.
Oh, yeah.
I just have the claim and the amount.
I wonder if that's,
I don't know if Tony, do you know what that?
Say that again? I don't have it in front of me now.
Hattersley and Sons, 73,949.
Does it say an apartment or anything?
in alphabetical order.
I don't see Hattersley.
That's not on the highway at all, is it? Hattersley?
Sounds like.
I don't even see it on here.
I don't see
Stan.
it.
I don't either.
Maybe I printed off the
You
wrong.
might have printed off the wrong thing. That might be last week's. There's no Hattersley on this one.
No, there isn't. It's in alphabetical order.
Yeah.
What's your total?
$302,250.
Well, the total's right. You got the right total. Let's look. Let me look at it again. You got it.
526.
Where's Hattersley at on there? Said 72,000, you said?
Yeah, Hattersley.
Right there.
Or maybe I got the wrong line, maybe that's, but yeah, I think that's Hattersley.
It looks like it to me, 73,949. I don't see
Isn't that a
it.
construction?
Yeah, yeah, it'd be maintenance, I would think. Here it is. Up
Might be
clear at the
something.
top. It's out of alphabetical order.
Might be something from Rick.
Jail. Under Coon Jail.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
Wonder if that might be for that water.
That's about the price of that softener.
Yeah, that water softener.
Yeah, that must be
That's the
what
price,
that is.
yeah, that's the price of that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so anyway, any other questions?
No,
Need a motion then.
So moved.
second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. We approve $302,250.44.
Yeah. I think that's all that I have. Anything else might come up
under mark later.
This thing I'd given you, I don't know if you're ready for that later or not. And Rex is gonna ask you about that.
Okay, Tony,
That's all I
that's
have.
all you had? All right. County engineer and the county highway department. Two hats, you're blessed, aren't you?
Yep. So the first thing I would like to do is introduce John Spidell Jr. from Butler, Cranberry, Seifert.
Okay,
Just a little bit about the handrailing on the bridge.
okay, very good.
Trails Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, just real quick, think that this deserved an in-person, come up and communicate to you. I was made aware of the situation a few weeks ago. I know that it had been going on longer than that. It's, Butler, Fairman, and Cipher, obviously, we always strive to give you the best service we can. But this was an error on our part. We admit that, and we're gonna make it right. So whatever the remedy is to get the railing from the 36 inches to the 42 inches, Butler, Fairman, and Cipher is gonna pick up the cost. So we just want to say, we're sorry, there was an error. We're gonna take full responsibility, and we're gonna do what we can to remedy it. So just want to make sure that you guys were all aware.
Okay, we appreciate that, John.
Yeah, we
thank
Appreciate
you.
that for sure.
Yeah,
So,
so there'll still be a couple more steps that we have to do. Brad will be in contact with Jeremy and Chad about how those steps progress. Most likely they'll have to go through change order process. Once those items there's a little bit of a negotiation process. But once those items are passed through for change order, then we'll have the numbers that we need, that obviously we need to know. And we'll probably end up you guys will end up paying that cost, but we will end up writing a reimbursement check directly to the county. So if there's a better way to do it, then obviously we can talk about that, but that's what the plan is right now.
Okay, so your plan is we would have to pay it, then you would reimburse us, is that what you think?
That is correct.
Okay,
So, we're hoping that you would, once we have the numbers, they have to go through the federal aid process. NDOT will take a look at them. They'll have to go be approved. Since it's an increase, there'll have to be an adjustment to the PO. We're hoping that we can have our check in your hands before that process is finished, before you would even have to write the
Okay.
check.
okay,
So,
okay.
Is there a way to coordinate the second aspect of what we're gonna have to do on that bridge with this phase as well? Since it sounds like we may have to,
I mean, the spacing
Mhm.
issue, no. That's gonna be, once it's all done, then we'll have to. Not that, that's gonna be totally separate from all this. That is gonna be on the county. On the county.
But-
just as a side note to that, obviously bridge specs are different for railings than they are for residential specs. And kind of as an anecdotal side note, we were up at Promenade Park Saturday night with the kids, with little kids. We crossed 3 pedestrian bridges. We crossed the concrete bridge with a concrete railing. They were spaced 6 inches apart. We crossed the walkway that went out over the river that was enclosed with chain link fence. And then we crossed the historic bridge to come back across the river. And they had steel spacings that were probably 10 to 12 inch open squares. So, that's why I say obviously bridge specs are different than residential specs. And as long as our specs that were approved by Tim were typical of bridge specs, it makes me think that is appropriate for that bridge. But I don't know what your thoughts are.
The 5 and 5/8 spacing on the balusters?
Is looking at other bridges and what's typical when you spec out a bridge. If there was a mistake, if typical bridge specs would be 4-inch spacing for a 4-inch sphere, then obviously there was a mistake. But if that is typically the way a bridge railing is spec'd out for a pedestrian bridge, which what I saw in Fort Wayne, those were 3 completely finished pedestrian walkways across the river.
From what I'm being told, that the error was made in the railing height. That was not to the design standard for pedestrian. It is for regular vehicular traffic. The 36 is fine, but not for the pedestrian, which needs to be 42. The spacing of the railing meets the design standards
For a pedestrian
for
bridge.
pedestrian. Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm saying. This appears to be typical bridge. I mean, just from looking at anecdotally, those pedestrian bridges in Promenade Park.
Yeah.
Or around Promenade Park. So.
That's why we'll take care of the
Right.
elevation problem, but not the space.
Yep.
So I guess at this point,
That's a choice.
I'm wondering if we need to take any further action on the railing space, on the baluster spacing.
We still have to decide what to do with that, if anything, so.
Yeah.
I think we gotta wait till till we're finished with the NDOT side of it, before we even consider the spacing. What we're gonna do on the spacing part.
Yeah, if it's a fix, it's after.
And my understanding also was, the county doesn't actually own the bridge yet. Remember they talked about that one day?
Yeah, apparently the city still owns one bridge and the county owns the other one, apparently. I just found that out about a week ago.
And until this project is done and then it gets handed over,
Yes,
then that's when,
You can address the situation.
yes,
If you choose.
We'll look at different options.
yeah.
so yeah, right now, yep, I appreciate him for taking time out of his day to come down. Like I said, he wanted to be face to face. I just thank you. I want to, say thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, we appreciate it, John.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
You deserve that.
yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now on to, last week we opened up the bids for 1100 South, and we have gone through them, and we are going to tentatively award to Judy Excavating, who was the low bid for that, until notification of the DNR layer, which I'm not sure what that stands for, layer funding award. So we can tentatively award it, but until we actually get, the funding, and then that would be the actual, we can go ahead and go.
Okay, how much was that dollar amount again?
Judy was $99,485.
I know there was a big difference between that one and even the second one, and the third one was way out. Yeah, so.
Yeah, we went through everything.
Everything? You checked
Everybody
out
got the
everything?
same, yeah.
Okay, okay. All right, gentlemen. Need a motion to accept that.
So moved.
Okay, motions is made and seconded that we go ahead and approve that, award that contract.
And that was to, which one?
1100 South.
Yeah, you mean the contractor's name?
Lowest bid,
Wabash River Main Stabilization.
Yeah.
Is that, Judy?
So the next item, we have the bids for the for the community crossings paving projects we had. And the first one is from Brooks Construction of Fort Wayne. Okay, so I have their bid bond. I have their financial statement. I have their Form 96. And I have their non-inclusion affidavit. And their bid is $443,566. $443,566. And just as a reminder, the community crossings pavings are 400 west, 750 north, and 100 east. So the next one I have is from E&B Paving, also out of Fort Wayne. All right, I have their bid bond. I have their Form 96. I have their non-collusion affidavit. I need what their financial statement is. And I have their financial statement. And E&B paving bid amount, $444,634.15. $444,634.15. That's the only two.
That's the only two you had?
There's the only two. Yep.
Okay, gentlemen. If you don't have any questions, we'll go ahead and table this until next week and let them have a chance to go over the bids. Then I'll need a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. We'll go ahead and table this and let Brad go over the specs and be sure everything checks out okay. We'll have an answer next week then. Okay.
You said that was 400 west, 750 north, and 100 east. Did I have that correct? Okay.
Okay, the next thing we have, we got another piece of good news. Yesterday, went down to the Jake County Commissioners to speak with them again about the project on 1200 South that we would like to do. And they gave their approval that they will go ahead and pay their share of it. So,
Okay.
that was good news. Yeah, I don't know. We can work together that way and keep a good relationship.
Okay, sounds good.
So the next thing that I have, we have another employee. Once again, I'm back again. We have another employee going through cancer, which all you guys are aware of, and they are now out of all their time to use. So I'm here again to ask for the 2-week additional pay for that employee. And it's projected they won't be back till probably the end of June. And that's if everything goes well at this point.
Okay.
Because we've talked about that as far as meeting requirements.
And
So,
it's one of them where, I mean, I've been in here so many times for it, it's just the amount of stuff we've been going through.
Yeah.
It's been tough, but.
You were aware of that, Mark?
Yeah, whenever they've used up all paid time off and and they're not back to work because of a long-term serious illness, then the county provides one additional biweekly pay.
Okay. Need a motion on that?
So moved.
Motion made, second, that we go ahead and grant that 2 additional weeks, Brad?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And then the next thing, I don't know, we talked a little bit last week about where we're standing with hiring an engineer, how you guys would like to proceed. You know, I don't know if you thought about it, what you'd like to do with that, or.
I think we'd like to go ahead and proceed with that. Are we,
Want to get things advertised.
I think we even talked about using, Tony, how you use for the HR,
Indeed.
that Indeed. That would be a good option too, so we could go ahead and get that started. Can we do that at any point in time now?
Yep.
Okay. We'll wait to get the ball rolling on
All
that.
right.
We'll need to have do we have a wage range that we're going to use?
We need to put a wage range in there, yes.
Okay,
We'll
we'll have
get
to talk
one.
about that.
Yeah, we got that meeting this afternoon. I don't know if you're gonna be there or not.
I wasn't planning on it, but maybe
Okay.
ask the
We can
council,
talk- Maybe we can talk a little bit about that.
ask them about that, yeah.
Yeah.
What time?
We got a meeting at 1:30.
Department head meeting,
What?
in a department head
Well,
meeting,
that's the
or
budget.
budget.
It's a budget. It's for the
Yeah.
budget, but all department heads are supposed to be
Yeah,
there, I
okay.
guess, right, Tony?
Or at least a representative, and
Yeah.
Okay,
they're
well, I
pretty
mean,
much
that's-
just,
We plan on being there.
Yeah,
so,
gonna be, okay, good.
That's why I was wondering. Okay.
Yeah.
it's not really to discuss your budget necessarily, it's to tell the departments how Baker Tilly is doing it. Then you will have a few months to actually
Okay.
figure out your budget with what you actually need and so forth, so.
Okay. Then the last thing I want to ask about, this is maybe a question for Mark also. I was contacted yesterday, and since 33 is now closed, truck traffic that is going down there is cutting down some of the county roads. And if it's not posted, there's nothing they can do, but I was wondering, is there a temporary, can you post a temporary no through truck signs? Or is
Well,
that-
don't you have a posted detour?
There is.
If they're off the posted detour,
Then
then
it could be.
I
Well, that's why
think,
I was come to get some clarification, because they were wondering what they can, if they can pursue that or how to pursue it.
get with me here after the meeting and we'll see. As long as you do have a detour route posted,
And the state does, yes.
and they're supposed to be on the detour.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's what I was wondering. I thought I'd bring it up in case they need to do something, so.
Where's it closed at?
From 27 to 101, they're replacing some culverts along 33 there, so.
That's a long stretch.
I think they said they're doing three
culverts, couple weeks for the close.
Yeah, I mean, it's only gonna be for a couple weeks, but
Okay.
Is there a particular, the
250 north,
is there a particular route that they're going down off of the detour?
they said they're cutting down 250 north.
I don't know that we can do it without adopting an ordinance. We don't
Well,
have,
that's what-
we don't have an ordinance.
Yeah. Well, and I just thought I'd come ask. It's only for a couple weeks,
Yep.
so, okay, then,
But yeah, I think they're supposed to be on the
yeah, the posted truck.
posted truck route.
All right. And that is all.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you guys later.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank
Yeah. Let's see, Rick has got his hands full. I don't know if he's gonna be up to us. We got problems down with the chillers down in the basement, and he's working with the maintenance man down there, representative from the company, so we'll bypass that for now anyway. And Sandy Collier isn't, yeah. Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
You're on if you're ready.
Yeah. Yep.
Good morning.
Morning.
Basically, I'm here to ask if you would increase the annual amount that you give to the Adams County Historical Society. I want to thank you for your continued support to us over the years. I don't know how far back it goes. I've been with the organization since 2014, and I know you've given to us long before that. You used to give us a larger amount than you do now. That was before my time, so I can't tell you how much that was. And at one point then, you lowered it because you felt we weren't functioning, weren't a functioning organization. And to be truthful, I think probably at that time we were not. But we've made a lot of improvements, especially in the last 5 years. And we want to be, have a greater voice in the community and offer more to the public. We have been focusing a lot on our restoration of the building because the building is in fact our greatest asset. It is a piece of history. It should be seen more as that than as just a place to hold our collections. Our organization is all volunteer. We don't have any paid staff, which is unlike a lot of counties. So we do our best to take care of everything that goes on there. We are able to, through our membership and fundraisers, we are able to raise the money that is our basic operating cost of $25,000 every year. And then anything that we put into the building itself as far as restoration, we get through contributions and grants. And we've been very successful in doing that over the last 5 years. And we think we have a good future ahead of us. We feel it's important to keep the structure in good working order because, as I said, it does house all of our collections. If we don't have the building, then we have no place to take all of those. And we have thousands and thousands of items on display in the building. We have a 5 to 10 year plan, which we are working with. And we have obtained a structures report from a firm out of Fort Wayne back in 2017, and that allows us to prioritize what we need to do in order to best serve our tenants. Some of the things that we've been able to do in the last few years is to repair our copper gutters and the roof. We replaced the lead glass side lights at the front entrance, which were stolen over 25 years ago. And they stole a piece of lead glass, colored stained glass out of the house as well, and that was replaced at the time. But the side lights were just replaced with stained glass, and so we were able to replace that. Part of that anyhow, there's more to be done there. We have put an extensive amount of money into the eaves in order to make it waterproof. Replaced a lot of the trim that had fallen off, or in the past, repairs had been done to the building just to take care of the immediate problem. But they didn't often meet the standards of historical preservation. So that has been our goal. It is listed on the historic register of historic places. So I do have some before and after pictures that I would like to show you so that you get an idea of what we are attempting to do. Now, I'm not asking for money to go toward the restoration. I'm only asking for money to help us meet our budget and to work on programming. It does seem like we have a lot of emphasis on the restoration, and truly that is where our emphasis has been lately. And until we get that finished and make it a watertight structure, then at that point, then we can focus on additional programming. We do have several programs lined up for this fall that I think the public will find interesting. And we have had the Zion Lutheran Middle School come over and take tours just as recently, and they liked it so well that they're going to try and make it an annual event for that grade school. So I think we do have a lot to offer the public. We just are in the process of reorganizing and gearing back up again. We have undertaken to digitalize all of our collection items. That means taking a picture writing down the source, the description, where it's built, so that where we got it, how we got it, what it stands for, and so forth. And that all has been, it's being entered into a computer. We have all of the items on the first floor completed, and that's taken about 2 years to do. They've started on the second floor, and then we have an attic that's filled as well. So it is a time-consuming process, but that will enable us, when somebody calls and said, my great uncle gave something to the museum, years ago, we'd like to come take a look at it. Can we do that? And this will enable us to know exactly where it's at, so that we, can bring it to their viewing. So that is a long, hard process.
Sandy, you have an accountant that does your books for you?
We have an accountant, yes.
Is it possible to get a financial statement?
I did bring along, I didn't make copies. We were here in 2019 and presented the same thing, and there was a misunderstanding, and they thought we wanted just a one-time increase. And when we were asking for this to be, and to make it clear, we are asking that this, if you increase it, that you continue it for the years to come. But this is last year. I'm sorry, this is up to January through December of 2019. We weren't open in 20, and it was not a typical year for us. So.
Can we go ahead and make a copy of this for the,
Sure.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking at your budget, or our budget for the Historical Society, and
We've been at $3,600 for years, but that one time was $7,200, and that was
Yeah.
2019, I believe.
yeah,
Yes, that would be what we came in and asked.
yeah. So then it went back down to this year to 3,600, yeah.
In your long-term plan, was there any suggestion as to what they thought might be reasonable that you would ask the commissioners to add?
I'm sorry, but I'm not.
In your long-term plan, usually you take and make projections as to what you might need to take care of that budget. Did they have a suggestion as to what dollar amount that you should come in and
Originally, they had, when we came in 2019, they asked for 10,000, but.
okay, I mean, is that kind of what you would like to,
That would be good.
okay.
These are the before and after, just to show you what we have managed to complete so far. And we are currently working on the front. If you've driven by, you've noticed that it's been under construction. It was supposed to have been done last year, but because of COVID, things have just stopped. But we have replaced the bases of those 4 large columns out front with concrete forms. And we've added back the crown moldings that used to be at the top of each of the buildings. Those over the years have all,
How do you do that? Do you have a building manager?
no.
Just kind of do it per committee?
It's just me.
Wow.
I'm the head of the restoration, I am the restoration committee. But I work with Limberlost Construction out in Geneva, and they've got,
Okay.
we have past it.
So they help you with stuff like that?
Yeah.
Mark, do you remember Golden Meadows, where they went to order, they have to take certain
Maintenance on a building like that is no easy task.
No, no, it's not.
like last week, the week before.
It's always,
Where they wanted to do what?
always calling out for something to do.
The job description for the cook to hire.
So was one of your biggest events like at Halloween with the haunted
Yes,
wagon and
we have
the
an
haunted?
escape room, and we have the haunted house.
But
That
Okay.
is our major,
taken
our
out.
major money. And we have a lot of other
Without
fundraisers,
them
but
being
it's just
certified.
small.
I'm thinking that came out
It's
last
more
week, the
to
week
get
before, and I believe,
Our name for the public
are
again.
you going to correct that and get the cut to them, or did they go ahead and approve that?
Come back.
I thought they approved that last, the commissioners approved that change, but it hasn't been changed.
It really
in the
is an
actual
amazing
description.
building.
I don't have that.
Paper, Tony.
It's
We're out of paper.
It's a home that.
Where's paper at?
And it, only had one family that live in it. So it's a living, there's nothing, there's nothing.
I can't count.
For us, it's just, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
have some in the back?
We also have,
I'll go look and see if we got some back here. What's that? Yeah, it might be back here. Let me look.
Thank you.
Not, I can have one of the girls come down. Is that just regular copy paper?
Yeah, just standard.
this is what we're currently doing at the present. This is a photo of what it looked like. You can see the railings around the front and the crown moldings at the top. And we've replaced that, the crown moldings, they had all been lost.
It should.
This is, someone used it as a photo shoot, but it shows you the new bases and the crown, the complete work. It just is lacking paint at this point.
Might be able to take a rest.
This is just it's a back porch that we're in the process of removing. It's deteriorating, and
Okay.
that's just to give you an idea of what we're
I
working
got one
with.
copy, ran out of paper.
Okay.
So even all the lattices original, huh?
I think this has all been enclosed, and we're gonna take that all down.
Oh, I
I
see.
think it was just an open porch, and they've, over the years.
Boy, those internal gutters, those are probably all copper too. aren't
Yeah. We have a slate roof and copper guttering.
Find any?
they? Very interesting.
This is
We
original
need a couple
photo
reams
of what
of regular copy
we're,
paper down in the
we're,
commissioner's room.
besides replacing these,
Thanks.
repairing
Bye.
these 4 pillars, we're going to replace this railing around the front of the
Right now.
building. It existed everywhere on the home, and it's all gone except for a little bit on the side portico. So we're gonna use that as a pattern to replace it along the front.
Interesting. I wonder if they make those in a weatherproof material.
I'm working with Eckhart Woodworking out of Monroe, Bevan, and he's going to reproduce them for me. I'm not sure what he is going to come up with.
Because I know they do have materials, and I've seen balustrades like that, in a weatherproof material.
This trim right here, a lot of that had to be replaced, and I took down a 4-foot section of it and gave it to Eckhart's, and they made a form and poured a resin product in it. So this is all resin now instead
Oh,
of
good.
wood. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. I'm sure last a lot longer.
Yeah. We are also a member of NARM, which is a North American reciprocal museum. And it-
What was it, a north?
NARM, N-A-R-M. They have 900 institutions that are part of this. And if our members who pay a price then can use it to get into other museums around town, any of those 900 at a discount, or in some cases even free. So that's an incentive to our membership as well.
Yeah, I should say, that's definitely
Just my copy.
Yeah, you can keep that. I ran off 2 more copies as soon as we get the paper.
Do you
going
need
in.
this back?
No, give it to Stan, let Stan have it.
solid.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
We have, one of the programs that we have coming up is going to be put on by Kyle Rowe. He's a treasure hunter in the county. I don't know if you've heard of him. But he has some amazing artifacts that he finds, Civil War buttons, spoons, anything metal. He's going to bring them to display and tell us about how he does it. I think it should be really interesting.
Do you participate in the Kikianga Festival?
We've been invited a few times, and yes, we have.
Okay.
Yeah, did you get it separated, Mark?
Here's the other two. Here's the 2-page one.
Is that the,
There's a 2-pager. And then there's a,
does that go with the one I just gave Stan?
yep.
Stan, I guess
And then these two go together. Here's the originals.
Okay, Sandy, I think we've got everything here to get back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. So basically, your request for us then is to consider the $10,000, which we will go ahead and talk about. And we submit our budget just like every other department does, and then it's subject to the council approving what we submit. So we'll talk about it, and then we decide what we want to do when we go over our budget line items. Okay?
The last one we came in 2019, we met with the commissioners and then we had to go before the council again and present, but we won't do that this time. Okay.
They shouldn't have to do it at this point,
Unless the council,
unless they request it.
yeah, unless they request it and they bring it up, because it's $7,200 right now.
Well, it's
no,
3,600. 3,600.
Oh, it is, okay, because it was 7,200 in 2020.
Yeah.
It was 3,600 again.
Oh, in 2020? I must,
2021.
There was one year it was 7,200.
Yes, just one
Yeah.
time. Yeah. That's when they thought that's all we were asking for was a one-time increase. I'm
I
not
see.
sure how that all came about, except that they did, with all the restoration talk, they must have thought that's what we wanted.
I think if I remember correctly, because that happened, that there was something that had to do with the building that you wanted extra. That was the way it was interpreted.
You know, that wasn't our intention, but
Yeah.
Yeah, in 2019, it was 36, and then in 2020, it went to 72, so it must be back to, I don't have 2021, so
yeah, it's 36.
36,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's 36.
That's what made me start taking a few calls to see what happened.
Okay,
Well, that's what we'll take a look at then. Yeah, if the council wants to go take it further, then they could contact you and have you come in, but we'll,
Okay,
it's in our budget line item.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you
So
so
we'll
much.
we'll keep you. Yeah, that's gonna be a little while, Sandy. I think we have to have ours in by, what, Tony, June 15th?
Yes.
Yeah.
What are we looking
So
for?
we won't even know anything
That's
at
all
that
right.
point yet.
I think I've got it here, and
Yeah.
I'll look at it here.
Okay, we'll let you know. Thank you.
The under breeze. 2021, you said?
I've got it here.
You sure? Yeah.
Okay, let's see, Rick must still be occupied.
Only the one time that it was 70,
Ed, you're up.
because I looked all that up when Rich was asking me.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Ed.
Good morning.
I have some information to give to you all. This is the very same thing that I emailed you last Tuesday after your meeting then, about the proposal I want to talk to you about today. Before I get to that, I just want to give you an update. As of last meeting, we were at 68%, just barely over, or excuse me, 98% in collections. And our goal is always, we were at 96%, and our goal is always 97% on the spring collections. We were worried about that a little bit because of COVID. Nobody really knew how this year was going to come about. But in 1 week, we are pretty much done with the spring collections. We're doing right in the middle of all the reconciliation with the auditor's office. It kind of goes on behind the scenes, but that's in full swing right now. But as of this morning, we are at 98.122%. So we are
Quick
above,
question.
above what we average on a good year. We're a full percent above that. I'm very happy with that.
If somebody comes in and pays the spring and fall assessment both, does that apply towards the the completion percentage that you're giving us?
It does not. I'm only giving you the spring collection,
Cool.
just to keep everything in apples to apples.
Sure.
So I do have a number here on the fall installment. We've actually got 2.457 million in for the fall already. So we're 15.3% collected for the fall
Wow.
already. But none of those go into the 98% figure that I gave you. So I'm tickled to death with that. It's worked out real well.
Very good.
And we weren't sure going into it. I don't think anybody was sure across the state. But for us, it's worked out real well. I have done kind of a couple of financial things too, but nothing out of the ordinary, other than I renegotiated with one bank and got an extra 0.1% increase in our rates in our major bank accounts. So that's across the board, going back a full month. So
I think it would be appropriate, Ed, to go ahead and tell us what the deposit was for the ARP program.
the deposit for that was $3,474,631.50. So $3.47 million. It went into our primary account, and later that afternoon, I took it out of the primary account and switched it over to a different bank that got the most interest for us over the weekend. That afternoon, a couple hours after that, I got a call from our primary bank that said, Ed, we'd like to talk to you about interest rates. And so that led to them paying attention to us as a good customer, and was able to get a raise out of there. Not only just the standard checking account rates that go all across the board. We have 5 different checking accounts with that bank, but they also offered a money market account, which is another 0.1% higher. And, you know, we're still talking mediocre rates in comparison, but it's going to allow us to earn several tens of thousands of dollars of interest when it's all added up. We're somewhat flush with money, with cash right now, and I'm trying to find the best place to invest it. The sad thing about it is the banks are flush with cash right now, and they don't have any place to invest it, so that's why they're not giving much in interest rates. And that's just kind of how banking goes. But, you know, 0.1% here and there, and it all adds up, and I'm getting all I can, so.
Thank you.
Okay, the report I gave you is the same I emailed you, and I want to talk about the potential of using a mail firm, printing and mail firm for the vendor, an outside vendor for the preparation and mailing of taxes. We've done it all in-house. We've done it that way for years, except for 1 year, and about 16 years ago or more, Rex was treasurer at the time, and you tried an outside vendor, and it did not work very well. Technology has changed a lot in 16 years, and nearly every county in the state uses an outside mail vendor. There's 2 big ones. This one that I'm proposing is L&D Mail Masters. They're out of New Albany, Indiana. The other one is called the Masters Touch, and they are out of Arizona and Oregon. And I just feel that this is the one that's stronger of the 2.
And they've been around for a while.
They've been
haven't they?
around for a
Because
long,
I
long
remember
time.
that name.
A highly recognized group down in New Albany, Indiana, get all sorts of awards for their community leadership and all this and that. They have a huge campus, and they have printing machines that would make your jaw drop what they're available to do. I actually want to go down there and check it all out. The numbers I gave you in this proposal were from an actual bid that I got just looking at the spring collections for this year. We did not use that. I did not bring it before you because my girls up in the office, they said, Ed, watch what happens 1 year and go through the process 1 year before you think about making any changes. And I said, I will do that. I will listen to you and I will do that. There's no need to hurry into this. Well, for those of you that might have stopped by the office or anything during the month leading up to actual collections, it is a whirlwind of activity. It is very intensive. We have an extra person that comes in. There's a lot that goes into the getting everything ready to print, and then a full week of printing, loading paper in, carrying it, stacking it, sorting it, and then another full week of envelope or folding and envelope stuffing, and then another full week of running, well, it takes about a half a day to run it through the postage machine, and then another full 4 days of sorting. We can sort to a three number zip code, pre-sort, and that saves us about a nickel per, and I'm sure you're well aware of that. That saves us about a nickel per envelope of postage. This Mailmaster service, they do a 5-digit pre-sort and saves us an additional 5 cents on postage all the way through. So that adds up. I used very conservative numbers, but I think they're very real numbers. I didn't try to pad anything. I put it out in detail as far as the numbers, and I can go over any of that with you. But I see not only being able to do this as advantageous due to all of the stress that's involved. It's very intensive. We have 2 machines that are about 8 years old. One's that envelope stuffer, and the other's a postage machine, that we own both of those. If one of those goes down, we are going to be hand folding 23,000 parcels. If the postage machine goes down, we're going to lick a bunch of stamps. We don't have a backup for either of those. We could probably lease them, but regardless, they're getting up there in age. It takes a whole week to run through the folder itself, and a half a day to run everything. 3 people stuffing stuff through the postage machine. That's one of the big things. I'm just kind of worried what happens. And we own the machines, they work. But what happens when one goes down, which, eventually something's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be next year or the year after that or 10 years from now, but something's going to happen to one of those machines. But anyway, I gave you all the numbers. The last pages, there's 2 sets. The first 4 pages are what we mail out with what we print and what we mail out. This is all said by the DLGF out of Indianapolis. They have to be this way. Our printer prints black and white because we needed the speed of a black and white printer. We have a Mucho machine. I used my personal tax bill on there, so I just wanted to show you a sample of what actually comes out, and I'm not sharing anybody's information without them. That's my personal house. But the first 2 pages are what goes to my escrow company. The second 2 pages that say informational on them, that's what gets mailed to the taxpayer. You do that by state statute, and it just shows informational on it. So they know what taxes they're actually paying, even though they pay them through the bank. Okay? I want you to compare that to the next 4 pages, which are samples that I got from the mail service. First of all, they're printed in color. The actual coupons, much easier to read, much easier to differentiate between spring and fall. That happens, we can tell in the office easy enough, and especially at the banks, they have a tough time differentiating between the spring and the fall. And it just dumbs it down, and I don't want to say that, but it makes it simple so that both the taxpayers and all the bank tellers know easier how to do it. And then if you look at the last 2 pages of that second group, where it says in escrow, right here, this is okay by DLGF. And the last page is the informational page, but it's in escrow. Much easier for the taxpayer to see. You don't pay these, you've already paid them through the bank. All of this, I think, lends itself to making things easier, much more accurate, more secure, a lot less stressful for everybody involved. It takes us a month to do this in office. Adams County is one of 5 counties in the entire state that still prints their own tax bills. Everybody else in the state uses one of the 2 major vendors. Plus, I ran the numbers, and using everything I put in there, I don't think it's going to cost a penny more to use an outside vendor. I honestly think we will save money by using an outside vendor. When you add all of the costs, the actual costs of the paper, the envelopes, which we'll still have to buy from the vendor, but they buy millions of them at a time, where we buy just a year's supply at a time. Things will look still the same. There won't be any changes from what the customer sees. But what takes us a month to handle in-house, once we hit the computer file and it sends it down to New Albany, and once they put it in the system, 4 hours, and it's printed, stuffed, mailed through their postage machine and delivered to the post office. 4 hours. They have a 100% track record with all their other counties that they work with in the state. They're an exceptional group. And I would just ask that you allow me to try it 1 year. We don't have to sign any contracts other than 1 year at a time. If it don't work, we can switch back. Now, I'll be very honest with you, Kathy and Deb upstairs say, why change? We got it all down. We know what we're doing and it works. But Rex and Tony both saw me getting these. We had, how many? 76, 78 tubs of envelopes that I personally brought downstairs for the mail post office to pick up. And one time going through the elevator, I felt about 10 of them out, had them all over the place. Rex held the elevator open for me. I was worried about him going down the cracks in the elevator, but Rick looked in the basement for me and everything was fine there. We've had some issues with the post office this year. There's just a lot of good reasons for using a vendor, and I've highlighted them all in the brochure that I gave you. But I would like to ask for authority to go ahead and try it for 1 year. If it don't work, we have too many problems, which I don't anticipate at all. But if we do have those problems, we can go back to the way we were doing it. That's first. Secondly, it's all of this is bidding the commissioner's budget. All of the paper, all of everything, envelopes, postage, all that comes out of your budget. We could keep this, and I would ask that we probably do keep this in your budget for this year until we know it works. And then the year following, which would be 2023, if you so desire, you could transfer all that into the treasurer's budget. And that really don't matter one way or the other, but I think it'd be something.
And you have this bid price by L&D Mailmasters that you have in this inset here. Was that based like the bid price on what we were done in this year?
That's what we had done the previous year. Those actual numbers of what we did the previous year, and I thought that was the best way to actually get an accurate number from them. But a bid price would have to be had for next year. No doubt it's going to be a little bit high, but I don't know how much.
Yeah, postage may go up too, who knows?
So would you, what is the price to do it for, you're talking about doing it for the 2021, pay 2022?
Yes.
So would you have to put that in your budget for 2021 or your 2022 budget?
If we put it in the treasurer's budget, but right now everything's in the commissioner's budget, and it has been for years and years.
Is it enough? Is that enough?
I think it is. I don't think you have to make any change. Because I'm looking at actual costs and some things you can't substantiate. The volume price that we could get cheaper from this vendor who buys millions of envelopes and sheets of paper.
What do we have in there now, Stan? You see it?
Is it under, where's it at under the commissioner's budget?
I'm trying to sort out what's actually his.
And we've got postage of $60,000.
Yeah, that's what we usually carry the postage at.
But I don't know that that would
Well,
cover,
we'd have postage, we'd have envelopes
Envelopes and paper.
and paper. So those are all in different categories, so we really can't.
It's hard to pick it out of there.
Yeah, we don't know for sure.
But we know that the costs from a vendor would be less expensive than one we're actually paying. I also know that the postage cost, just because of their quantity of volume, they buy millions of envelopes and millions of.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So
it
no
would.
doubt, it wouldn't be more expensive. And then the postage will be 5 cents per parcel less than what we're able to do it right now.
Well, yeah, you got, the cost that you have listed here for your paper and envelopes is $1,924. And yet postage is $6,382.09.
That's what we paid this
Yeah,
year.
that's what we paid this year. So we know that those are buried in these line items at this point.
Yes, in your line.
Yeah, right.
Two things I'm thinking. One is Rex tried it, went back to the original way, and the other thing is the girls are saying, don't change, keep doing it this way. So I'm kind of thinking, what are your thoughts, Rex?
Well, I think
You've
it's,
been in that.
you know what, technology has really changed. And I had heard good reports about this company even way back when I was treasurer. And he's got, the total cost that we got here is projected at $13,637.97 based on previous bid that was submitted, so.
Is that the bid for next year?
No, that is what was bid for this year that I did not use. I could take the actual numbers that we have, and as it gets closer into next year, I could ask for another bid. If I get a bid right now, it most likely will change somewhat next year, because we're not talking about doing this until late March, early April of next year. So to ask them to put out a bid today and to keep it in effect clear through that time, I think is unrealistic.
The thing about it, Ed, which is, you got the labor down at 7,657. Now, I would be supportive of trying it for a year, but I do have a question here, because the labor that we have listed is labor that we're already gonna be paid.
Yes.
You know, you're not eliminating any help, so I think, you know,
And I also have it broke out with just the part-time labor.
right, you got that broken down.
Yes. So we would have less part-time labor that would have to come in.
You know, you
for all
eliminate
whole
that.
month.
Yeah, you eliminate that part.
What I would suggest to the ladies is, let's get everything ready, get it sent to the vendor, and then this is a good time to rest up a little bit for the weeks prior, you know, use a couple days of your vacation. Maybe some comp time, Kathy has a little of that build up, and then prepare for the actual tax rush that comes in right after the bills get mailed out. Nick, it's busy. You've all been up there, you've seen it, so.
So really, the only extra labor we have is $865.
That's what I can figure out for the part-time labor, yes. There also are costs that you cannot easily quantify, and I put that down there. We bought 2.5 toner cartridges, $204, a toner waste box, a printer drum, all this happened while we were doing this. For the postage machine, a special ink cartridge, $263 for a cartridge of ink that is a little bit bigger than a deck of cards, but it's security stuff. $865 for extra seasonal. The savings on the volume of paper and envelopes, wear and tear on the printer, we don't pay for that right now. That's all built into your contract with Perry Protect, as well as the drum and the toner, all that's paid for. but we still pay that in the overall cost of the contract. So it's hard to quantify on that, but that's what we had to replace this year during the printing of all this.
But we're still using those toner cartridges and toner box and printer drum right now. It's not wore out.
The new ones that we
The new
had to
ones,
replace.
yeah.
But, and they was gonna have to be replaced sooner or later, but, you know, if you figure out 23,000 parcels at 4 pages apiece, plus I had a separate letter in there, so that was 5 pages, you know, that's 100,000 pages every year. Every year.
The only thing I can see it on where you got the labor, both full-time and seasonal, you could pull seasonal out of that.
Right.
Okay, now, you got down extra seasonal help needed at $865. So you're not considering that in that 7,657.
I am.
Oh, yeah?
I am. That's what we're actually paying. But if you take that out, then of course, you know, just, it's hard to substantiate, you know, how much of that is for the actual preparation, but a vast majority of it is. You still do other work while they're in there, but I think the numbers come out to where it's close. I think it's gonna be a savings. It may be a slight increase in what we're paying, but I don't think it's going to be. Till we actually run it for a year, I don't know.
Does anybody else use that folder stuffer machine other than you?
Park and Rec uses it, the assessor's office uses it. When they send out their reassessments, every parcel in the county gets one. So yeah, they do. The Park and Rec uses it. We had an issue, I guess, a couple of years ago before my time, where they broke it and refused to help pay to fix it. We do have a maintenance agreement on it that has run out by now.
Well, you give us enough to think of. I think we just need to
I don't
table it.
necessarily need an answer today, but I would like to
Yeah,
certainly have
we're
you
not
guys
gonna,
think
yeah, we'll
about it.
table it, talk about it.
When do you need to know?
Well, the second part of the thing is if we want to keep it in your budget or move it to my budget. Until we know it would be a year-to-year thing, I think it would behoove us to keep it in your budget if we're just going to try it for a year. That way you don't have to make any major changes. And June 15th, we need to have our budget in, so.
But the only thing that we're looking at, our line item in our budget would be, taking the figures that you have, the two top, 1,924, reduce our office supplies by a couple $1,000 and reduce the postage by about 6,500. Because we can't touch the labor. I mean, that isn't involved with us. So that's the only thing we could do on that end.
Yeah. So I think I would still pay for the labor, of course. I would use less labor because part-time help would not be needed for the preparation of the
Right,
bills.
right.
But I also wouldn't have to pay for all the paper and envelopes.
How much did you have in part-time labor in your budget?
$12,000.
12,000?
For the year. I won't come close to using all that this year.
Okay, so let's just say we did this, could you eliminate the 12,000 out of your line item?
Not all of that, because I also bring part-time labor in for the actual collection of taxes when people come in. So, but that's only 3 weeks, 4 weeks at the most. In
So
the spring.
$3,000 would be ample?
I would probably want to just maybe go down to 8,000 or 7,000 the first year and see where
I'm
it's
trying to
at.
get some more savings here.
Yeah, I could probably chop it down in half to 6,000.
Okay, well, if you chopped it down in half, then we got 2,000 in paper and envelopes. We got 6,300, so if you take two and $6,500, that's 8,500 plus the 6 that you chop off a year, there's your 14,500. And that would be actually close to what you got here, because this says 13,006.
Yep.
Does that make
We
sense?
can make it work.
Okay, well,
If you guys
let's,
will allow me to make it work. that's fine.
okay, we'll table it. guys, if it's okay, we'll table it, talk about it and come back with a,
The simplest way again would be to keep it in your budget for this year to see how everything works. And then if it does work, as I anticipated doing, and then move it to mine, and then of course we'll have to readjust some of those numbers.
yeah, well, the only thing we can do on our budget, is take postage down and office supplies down. If you take your part-time labor down, then we can, I think that would be more of a sellable.
Okay. And then I don't know at this point what I need to do, if I could find out maybe next week or before the council, when we have to submit the budget. Because, I'm gonna have to have whatever numbers I need for that.
I guess we'll find out a little bit more today, maybe this afternoon. Yeah, okay,
Thank you.
very good, thanks a lot, Ed, appreciate it. Stan, here's your stuff back. No, okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, well, let's see, Rick is still probably tied up, so that brings us down. Mark Wynn canceled out. Down to you, Mark.
All right. Couple of things. Last week, we are still working on the right-of-way acquisition for County Road 700 South, and we've got 3 more claims to approve to pay for acquisition of permanent right-of-way. 3 more individuals have accepted the offers to purchase that right-of-way. We had appraisals done for right-of-way purchases, and the first one is Tom and Susan Pritchard, and that amount is $15,195. When you purchase right-of-way and they do the appraisal, the appraiser does an NDOT certified appraisal. You're taking an additional 10 feet of right-of-way, and which makes the right-of-way closer to the individual's house and their structures, and so the right-of-way appraiser figures that into the diminution in value of the property because of the setback and the taking is much closer to the house. And so they have a formula and they run it through and they come up with the NDOT certified appraisal. And so that is the amount. And so that is what we offer an individual. If we're not able to come to terms on that, then our only other alternative is condemnation. And obviously we don't want to have to go through that process. That process gets very expensive. But these individuals have accepted the right-of-way offers based upon those appraisals which we sent to them, and we sent them the offer. And so Tom and Susan Pritchard is the first one, and that's $15,195. The other is Bruce and Janet Lehman, and that property is just, they've got a building that's fairly close to the road. That amount is $4,930. That's not a house, but it's a building that has a business in it, and so the road is going to be quite a bit closer, and so they're losing 10 feet off of their frontage, and so that is the reason for that one. And then the third one is South Adams, and that is South Adams High School, and we met with them and offered them $5,700 for their quantity of land, and they agreed to accept that. And that's a long strip of land. It's only 10 feet wide, but it's pretty long. They've got a pretty big piece of property there. They've accepted that. So I need approval to have Brad get the checks cut out of the highway funds so that we can get this right-of-way acquired, and then we can proceed with we will still have to have right-of-way acquisition that we need to do on the north side of 700 South. We've got appraisals for some of those properties. We haven't made those offers yet because we think we're going to have to talk to South Adams about some drainage plans on the north side. The city of Bern is also considering putting sidewalks in, so we're not making those offers yet and finalizing those until we talk a little bit more with South Adams and the city of Bern and see how those plans might change as far as drainage goes. So we are trying to wrap up the south side. The sewer project is going to go through there, and they're going to put the sewer line in the new county highway right-of-way line. That's where it needs to be. And so that's why we're working on the south side here first. But I just need approval to pre-approve these three claims that I just mentioned: Tom and Susan Pritchard, $15,195, Bruce and Janet Lehman, $4,930, and South Adams, $5,700. Need approval to have those claims paid, and so we can cut those checks. And then when we cut the checks, then they sign a deed of permanent right-of-way to the county, and then that gets recorded. And that's all been surveyed. We had to have the surveys first, and the offers are based upon the surveys and the amount of land and the setback and everything else. So any questions on that?
It looks like there's a property owner in between Pritchard and Lehman.
That is, that one we approved last week. That was Tolan.
Gotcha, okay. Gotcha.
Tolan. We approved that last week, and I met with them last week and already signed it. Schwartz, we're still waiting on that one.
Is that the last one?
That's the last one.
That'd be the last one.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Okay, we're going to take them as a group. Is that okay?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, make a motion to second it. Okay, motion's been made and seconded. We go ahead and approve the purchase from Pritchard's $15,195, Lehman's $4,930, South Adams High School $5,700.
All right.
Motion carries.
Thank you, and I'll get that down to Brad, and he'll get checks, and, Bree will actually do that, but I'll get that to Bree. And so she'll have those offer documents, and we can get the checks cut, we'll get the deeds, and we'll get them recorded. So that's good, that project's moving, so appreciate that. Next thing, we published notice to receive proposals for the animal shelter. We've got the final specifications that we've made a few modifications I'll give to Tony today so that he has those, so that when individuals request those specifications, they'll have them. I'll hand those out to the commissioners so that each of you have a copy.
Sounds like we've got multiple people interested in submitting proposals, so that's encouraging.
Yep.
Thank you.
And we did have an email from the organization in Allen County that helps with animal.
Did you get that?
Yes.
Tammy, Joe, or no?
Yes, I did.
Did she contact you, Stan?
What's that?
From Allen County, did she contact you? I gave her your name.
I got an email.
Did you get an email from her?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I have it right here. It's,
She had it broken down, how many animals
Amy
from
Jo's
Adams County.
site. It's Animal Care and Control. They're on Hillegas Road.
Yeah, that's the one.
And so they really kind of opened the door to the possibility that we could do an interlocal agreement with them, until such time as we get our own shelter up and running.
I think New Haven, as a city, entered into an agreement with them, and they pay them like, I think $40,000 a year is what she told me in that agreement.
So
So-
you're gonna get proposals, and there's no reason why you wouldn't also talk to this organization as well, certainly to see if it's something that you could utilize between the time the Adams County shelter closes and you get up and running with another shelter. You could utilize this
She
organization.
offered short-term help.
Yep, short-term,
Yep, she did.
kind of help in the gap.
Yeah.
So that's good, that's good news. What I'll go through in those specifications, I made a few changes that are important that you need to consider. And I'll just point them out to you. Let's see here. So it requires, and this is for the animal shelter services, and so the proposal is or the contractors are to submit a proposal, they need to provide at least 1,500 square foot or more for the shelter area. It also has to include an area where separate area where individuals can view and interact with the animals subject to adoption. Have to have the ability to house a minimum of 20 animals of the canine and feline species at any given time. Specifies the size of cage for dogs.
Quick question on that. Somebody asked me if that was total dogs and cats or 20 each.
20 each.
20 each, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah, it says 20 animals each. That's right in the specs.
gotcha.
So most of these specs have remained the same as what the committee reviewed and what we currently have. There's been some changes. Contractors to provide, it has to provide the feed, has to meet dietary requirements for state veterinarian or state board of animal health. If you look at paragraph number 13. So the contractor, and as it presently is, if an individual comes to claim their animal and it's an owner's animal and they're claiming their animal, then they're required to pay the cost of sheltering the animal when they pick up their animal. Now that's a owner claimed animal. And I put in here $5 per day plus the cost of medical care provided for the animal. Okay, that money goes back to the county general fund. Now,
$5 in the medical care goes back.
$5 per day that they've been sheltered plus the cost of any medical care provided to the animal is what they pay to claim their animal. And that money goes back to county general. Now, I suppose you could charge more than $5 a day. The risk there is that then people don't claim their animals. Medical care, the contractor has to provide reasonable and necessary medical care for the animals and they don't get that back. That's part of the bid. It's kind of difficult to bid that, but that's part of the cost of providing the shelter.
That was one question I got from one of the people that's very, very interested. They said, it's so hard to figure it. Like say if an animal comes in with a broken leg or broken pelvis where you're going to end up with extensive medical care. Or the other thing was they had a question on spay and neutering, whether they have to pay that too.
They have to.
So that was the thing. And they just kind of wanted to know where we fell on those two things. Like if an animal has major medical and
It's not addressed, and right now now I have addressed it in the adoption program.
Okay.
And so in paragraph 28, okay, I've added a paragraph here and it's for adoption fees. And I know the county wants to encourage adoption of animals, and we certainly want to encourage the contractor to have a very active adoption program. And so it says here, a contractor may charge an adoption fee not to exceed $50 per animal, plus the cost to provide necessary medical care for the animal while sheltered. Okay, so if there's medical care there, then the contractor is going to get that back if that animal's adopted, plus a $50 adoption fee. I don't think you want to have an adoption fee that's more than that, because
that sounds pretty reasonable.
you want to encourage adoption.
Yeah. No, I think that sounds.
That also helps you recover medical cost, and it encourages the contractor to provide that medical care because they know if the animal's adopted, they can get it back. So that's a change that I made, and that's entirely up to you, gentlemen. I don't know, obviously you're going to get proposals, and then you can talk to the individuals that are making those proposals. There's a lot of factors that go into this. The lowest price does not have to be the deciding factor because this is a service contract, and you've stated that you will select the contractor that you believe will provide the best program and services for the county with all factors considered. We've also got a paragraph here that says that the contractor may propose to offer services in partnership or cooperation with other individuals or organizations as suppliers or subcontractors. However, a single contract will be issued for all services listed in the shelter specifications unless otherwise determined by the Adams County Board of Commissioners. Basically, you're saying it's up to the individual that's putting together their proposal to figure out who all they're going to work with to do this, and then we're going to issue one contract, and then it'll be up to them to work together to make that happen. But we're going to issue one contract.
So for example, if somebody had a shelter and somebody else wanted to be dog catcher, as long as those two work
They're
together,
going to have to work together and submit a proposal.
submit one proposal.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, we did add here, contractors should make the proposed shelter facility available for inspection by the commissioners in order to consider any proposal. I think you want to be able to look at any shelter, you need to be able to see what's being proposed. We also have an alternate ad. Now, this is under the proposal, the specifications to provide the shelter service. They can also, as an alternate, provide a proposal to do the animal collection. And so a contractor may submit a proposal for annual fee to provide animal collection service and delivery of the animals to the shelter provider according to the specifications for animal collection service. This service will be stated as a separate fee from the proposal for shelter services. So that allows basically someone that wants to put together a proposal to do it all, they can do that. But they need to separately state what is the cost, that what are they going to charge to do animal collection?
Right.
Because you have a current animal collection service, and so you may considering having one individual do it all, or you may consider just providing the shelter service and continuing to use a separate animal collection service. That's up to you. But we tried to draw these specifications so that the commissioners have the most flexibility as possible in looking at these proposals and seeing what you want to do. Commissioners reserve the right to amend any of these specifications, including the length of the contract during the negotiation process. So those are the specifications. Also, we have here specifications for animal collection service, and so we've made some revisions to this, but this is very similar to what you currently have with your current contractor that we utilized a number of years ago with a few changes, but there's the specifications for animal collection as well. I also prepared we have an adoption program agreement and release and hold harmless, and this is anybody that wants to adopt an animal signs this, and then this, that they understand that the animal is, they're adopting the animal as is, and they're going to take care of the animal. They accept the animal in its current condition. They pledge that they will treat the animal in a humane manner and attempt to assimilate the animal into their family as a pet. And then we have down here their signature, and we also have the fees for the adoption of that animal. You can pass that down if you want. That's just a form, so that just shows you kind of how we're doing that.
One of the things on collection, and you might go over this too, the sheriff was asking me about what hours.
That's all on the specifications.
Okay.
Yeah, it's listed. Here you go, Stan.
All right.
And then so they will.
So you want us to go ahead
Regular
and take a look at this, Mark, and then come back if there's any changes and.
Yeah, as of right now, I'm going to give that to the auditor so that they have the specifications on file, because
Okay.
that's going to be published throughout the process. If the commissioners can amend these specifications, if there's something else that you think of, you can amend
We
that.
should make a decision by next week then, so you can get this ball rolling, then, is that right?
Well, I'm gonna, unless you guys tell me that you think that the shelter cost should be higher, or the adoption fee should be higher than, or different, I would leave it like it is, and
Okay.
I'll give it to the
Okay.
auditor, and we'll go with that for now.
We're gonna get it out.
I don't have a problem with,
I don't either.
with the dollar.
Does it need a motion or anything?
Just
Yeah,
need a
we-
motion to
yeah,
approve these
yeah.
I'll
specifications.
make a motion.
Okay. Motion's on the floor.
Yeah, I'd second
The
that.
second, okay, motion's been made, the second, that we go ahead and approve the specifications for the animal shelter contractual services and let you get going with it.
Okay, well, it'll be in the paper today. And I'm sure Tony will have individuals that'll want to pick these up.
I would just like to say too that, you know, when the animal task force has met, Mark has come in and attended meetings with us. And I really appreciate your involvement in that, and really appreciate you preparing the specs for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, hopefully we can get something good going here. I'll print one of these for you, Tony, and then I'll email this file to you so you've got the most recent file.
And we'll print them off for people that come and request.
Do you think we should, Tony, with some of the names that have come in, do you think we should actively contact them, or is that something?
We have the list. We could give them a call or whatever and tell them the specs are in there.
I just don't want anybody to say, well, I didn't know about it, you know?
Yeah, anybody that's called in or has requested information, if you want to just send them the specs, then that would probably be,
I don't know if we have all their email addresses, we have phone numbers, but we can,
call them.
one way or another, we can get it to them.
Okay.
I'll have Angie work on that.
Show
That'll
interest. So
Sounds like a plan.
here's the printed version, there's that pet adoption release, here's the specifications. So.
Yep. You got anything else, Mark?
Oh, this is my copy.
I don't think so.
I have a question. The planning commission, are going to send that, solar farm project, you know, to us. They got 10 days, I guess, to do it. How many days do we have then after that, once we receive it?
I have to read, I think it's, I think you've got 30 days, but I don't,
What they said was
I was thinking
30 days.
60.
60 days?
30 or 60.
I don't know where I read that, someplace I read that.
That lawyer, last Thursday night said 30
That,
days.
that is
Pat
Pat
has,
said we had 30 days.
30?
Well, after we receive it, we have 30 days to respond.
Okay, okay.
That's what Pat said.
Okay. Another thing too, I mean, it was been brought up, is the, doing an ordinance for the, abandoned properties that are out in the county as far as cleaning them up and so on. So I think we need to follow through because there's been a lot of people that have expressed interest in having something done about that. What do we need to do on that, Mark?
that's a more difficult question.
You want Rick to come up and fill up? Rick, you can think about it. Rick, you got some things you want to bring to us?
Just one thing, just maybe be publicly. This Friday, from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., we will be doing a sprinkler test at the courthouse. And I would imagine the alarms are gonna go off. I will notify everybody over there. Just if any general public comes in, that's what will be going on over there.
So will everybody come to work in their bathing suit?
Who knows?
Okay.
11 o'clock when?
Friday,
So
this Friday.
7 a.m. to 11.
Oh.
And that's this Friday. I think it's the 28th.
Okay. All right, well, anything else, guys? Should be brought up, public? Not much public? Tony, anything on your end? Okay, well, I will entertain a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else.
You want to take that with you, Mark?
Okay, motion's been made and second. We are adjourned.